Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Happy 2026. We are back with our annual Q&A, where every year I sit down and answer a bunch of your questions. Sorry, I can't say any of this with a straight face because I'm not in a bathtub. That sentence isn't gonna make sense to a lot of you. Give me a second to finish my intro. So hi, to any of you who don't know me, my name's Elena Joy. I am a therapist and I make videos on this channel mostly about the queer community. Sex, dating, and relationships, but sometimes, once a year, I answer your questions about everything. And I usually do that in a bathtub. The thing is, as you might have noticed from the slight change in my intro just now, I'm a therapist, like fully licensed. I'm a therapist, period, which is one of my major accomplishments from last year. So I'm sure we're gonna talk about that more, but I just don't feel right sitting in a bathtub in progressively more unhinged outfits and filming it for the internet. I just don't. Do I still think it's a fun concept? Yes. Do I feel that I may have personally and professionally outgrown it a little bit? Yeah. So I hope this isn't too big of a disappointment. I'm sorry if it is, but this year I'm just not in a bathtub, but I'm still gonna answer your questions. I went on my Instagram. If you don't already follow me over on Instagram, what are you doing? That's where the magic happens. And I asked you all for questions. So let's answer a bunch of them, shall we? As many as I can get through. Let's start with, what were your top 3 favorite memories from the year? Because it's kind of the perfect summary question for the 2025 that I had, because basically every large life event that I've had thus far in my life happened in 2025. My wife and I bought a home together. A, I have a wife now. B, I got married and I graduated from my master's program. I completed my thesis and I got my RCC, my therapy license. Top 3 memories of the year, easy. So many questions about the wedding, being married, having a wife. Let's go with some combination of favorite moment at your wedding, how was your wedding, what went wrong on your wedding day and became a great story. The wedding was incredible. It was perfect. The best part of the wedding was like the whole thing. And I know that's an unsatisfying answer, but you know, you hear so many people talk about how my wedding was the best day of my life, and I didn't connect to it. I didn't connect to that idea of like my wedding being the best day of my life and stuff. But it was though. Like, I don't think I really conceptualized or like really expected how meaningful and fun it was to have all of your loved ones in one place at the same time. It was a massive party with the best energy, not to mention the ceremony and how beautiful it was. And like, we wrote our own vows. So reading my vows to my wife and hearing her read her vows, and just, it was really special. More than I even thought it could or would be. I don't know. It was really a friggin' blast. That's how it was overall. What went wrong? I guess this didn't actually go wrong, but well, one, walking down the aisle, my mom stepped on my dress and almost tripped me. And then after we got up there and said our vows, we had our dog Julio bring the rings. He was like a little ring bearer. And when he gets nervous, he pees on stuff. And he tried to pee on me. He didn't, so it didn't really go wrong, but that was a memorable and shocking moment. Our photographer actually caught it. I'll put the picture up of him lifting his leg to like fully pee on me in my wedding dress. Oh, my dress, the bustle on my dress broke halfway through the dance party. And so my wife gave me her belt and I like strapped up my dress with her belt for the rest of the dance. And I kind of felt like I was like from ancient Greece or something. Oh, and my like stick-on bra thing snapped. And so that came off by the end. Oh my God, my cousin bailed and chipped her tooth. We were standing at the bar. We had coolers at the front with ice and like drinks in them. She like tripped on the cooler and tried to catch herself, but her hand went like into the cooler and bang, face right onto the bar. Oh, it was great. It was a perfect day. But before we get to the rest of the questions, have you ever wanted to turn your gaming into real money? I know I have. Listen, we all like to spend a little time winding down, turning off our brains, relaxing on our phones. And so when Free Cash reached out and asked if I'd want to partner on a video, and I saw that you can make real actual money by playing mobile games and answering surveys on your phone, I was very excited to share it with you all. In this economy, Free Cash is a free online platform where users can make money by playing games, answering surveys, and more. They have a 4.8 star Trustpilot rating, and it really is that simple. All you have to do is you can use my QR code, you can use the link in my description to sign up, you get the app, you enable app tracking to be sure that you can get rewarded properly, choose a game that you want to play, like for example, Monopoly Go, and you can see that you make money by leveling up or progressing through the game. You can also even get cash back for in-app purchases on some games. And so you can play Monopoly Go or whatever other cute, fun, easy game while you're watching TV, while you're winding down for the night, while you're having your coffee in the morning, whenever it is that you play mobile games, and make money while doing it. And then when you're ready to withdraw your funds, you choose how you want to do that. I think PayPal is the best option, but you can also withdraw your money as gift cards. If you're somebody who already likes playing mobile games, this is such a simple, fun, easy way to make a little bit of extra cash. So again, you can scan this QR code or you can click the link in my description to sign up. And if you're from any of these places, you can get a $5 sign up bonus for users starting their first offer. So click the link, check it out, and make a bit of extra cash in your free time. Okay, back to your questions. How do you balance a personal versus work life effectively? I feel like I have a pretty quick answer to this one. Famous last words. No, but really. You gotta have hours where work is over, where work is off limits. Maybe start with weekends. Maybe even just start with evenings if weekends feels too big. That's the quick and easy answer. You gotta cut yourself off at some point. What kind of calendar/note system do you keep to guide yourself towards such big goals? My calendar and note system, I feel like is actually quite simple, quite basic. I use the Notes app in my phone and Google Calendar, and that's pretty much it. So I have like a giant to-do note, and within the to-do note, I have different to-do lists. I have a note for content ideas. I had a note for thoughts about my research or my thesis. And so my Notes app is sort of like my brain dump place. A lot of the time it's when I'm driving when I think of stuff. And what's great about the Notes app, at least in having an iPhone, is that you can tell Siri to make a note in your phone of whatever it is you're thinking, and she'll make the note. So as the day goes by, anytime I have a thought, an idea, something I need to do, I'll tell Siri to make a note in my phone. And then either at the beginning of the week or at the beginning of each day, I go and I take all of those notes and like put them into their proper respective notes. And that's sort of how I organize my thoughts. And then I just use Google Calendar to organize my events. Other than that, I have it color coded. Therapy is one color. My Patreon is another color, content creation is a color. So I also like can have an idea of what it is that I need to do based on all the colors that I see. And that's kind of it. That's my whole system. How to recover from burnout from grad school. I also just finished my master's. Recognize that settling back into yourself is going to take some time, and try to be gentle with yourself through that process. You have trained yourself over the last however many years to be a productivity machine in a way. You always had something that needed to be done. There was always some reading you could have been working on, some paper, some homework, some test to study for. And that has both sort of moral values-based implications and also literal chemical brain implications. What I mean by that is not only does being in a master's program and pushing yourself toward productivity at that level fit in with the societal valuing of productivity and output, our brains have been getting dopamine hits from every single task we are able to check off that list. And so finishing a master's program or leaving a situation that's caused burnout for you, you're not only fighting against the societal pressure and expectation, the way that your achievements within the institution of education are praised, but you're also needing to let your system calm down and start to find other ways to get dopamine. My point is just that leaving or finishing something like a master's degree is an identity shift, but you're also going to have to learn to find other ways to value yourself and hopefully try to unlearn some of that moral evaluation of productivity equals good, worthy person. How would you feel if a viewer wanted to come to you as a therapist? I've gotten this question a lot since becoming a therapist and also having an online presence. I feel fine. I have clients who are viewers, and you could make arguments on both sides. Like, you could argue that there are power imbalances that are inherent to like a creator-viewer relationship, in that I have power in being like a figure, depending how you see me. There's power in that, and there's power in you knowing so much more about me than I know about you. My take, and what I've seen so far, is value in this dynamic, in the way that, yes, you know a lot about me, but that builds trust in a similar but way magnified way as somebody who's looking for a therapist and they're reading websites, they're going on Psychology Today, maybe they're looking at therapist Instagrams, trying to discern, do I feel safe with this person? Does this person have the views and experience and training that I'm looking for? We're all trying to figure that out when we're finding a new therapist. The people who watch my content have those answers. Maybe ask me in a year and I'll feel different. I don't know. But the way I feel right now is that as long as this relationship, as in viewer to creator, isn't negatively impacting the relationship between therapist and client, I've thus far seen it as a positive. What's the most memorable trip you took last year? I went to Mexico twice. I went to Mexico with my wife, and over the holidays went to Mexico with my family, which connects to fave Mexican dish or tradition, tamales, hands down. Get some hot sauce on there. I was eating corn tamales. I know they're all made of corn, but like corn on corn tamales and bean tamales. Stupid good. I'd get them at restaurants, I'd get them on the beach, I'd get them in the streets, anywhere. Get me a tamale. I think these questions came because the photo that I posted asking for questions was a photo from Mexico. And someone said, ¿Cuántos idiomas hablas? Am I saying that right? And I think that means, how many languages do you speak? I speak 1.6. I speak English. I think I speak okay French. My French is pretty good, so I'll give myself a 0.5 for French. And I am becoming obsessed with learning Spanish. And like, I can give myself maybe a 0.1 at this point. I'm a beginner. I'm a baby. I've been learning and practicing French on and off my entire life, but I'm realizing that I'm not really ever in places where French is the first language, whereas I'm in Spanish-speaking countries a lot more. So something has flipped in my head, and I now really want to learn and be able to speak conversational Spanish. Best book you read this year, fiction and nonfiction? Don't do this to me. God, I hate these questions because there's so many good ones, and to pick is tough. But the first that come to mind, Sky Daddy. That book, fiction, I have not stopped thinking about it. It's not going to be for everybody. It's about a woman who's in love with planes, romantically and erotically. And I just loved every second of being in her brain. And I loved the ending. I loved everything about that book. Sky Daddy. Nonfiction, what comes to mind is Hijab Butch Blues. It's a memoir published under a pen name of a Muslim queer woman who moves to the USA from an unnamed Muslim country. And it's more than you would expect because she includes verses from the Quran, and her experience of learning these verses and learning these stories and her interpretations of them and reinterpretations of them through queer and feminist lenses. Highly recommend both. Please, in the comments, let me know the best books you read this year and also the best movies you saw this year. I think somebody asked about top movie, which again, tough. Let me check I got a Letterboxd. I also have a Goodreads, if that interests any of you. They'll be linked in the description. Oh my God, Begonia has stuck with me. Sinners, Together, both excellent. I also watched Bring Her Back, which stuck with me. Pretty much everything I just said is horror, isn't it? There were a handful of really good movies in 2025. Weapons. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. Love your podcast. Oh yeah, I got a bunch of questions about the podcast and sleeping around because we finished season 1 of Sleeping Around this year. So cool and fun to do. I got questions on when it's coming back, what am I doing with it? And also I had a question on how my content might change now that I'm practicing therapy. And I think this all ties together. I do plan to have a season 2 of Sleeping Around at some point. I don't know when yet. When I think about merging my worlds of content creation and therapy, therapy. Where I land is sort of continuing the content that I'm making now, a lot of like media reaction stuff, but more like therapy forward. So like instead of lesbian reacts, it's maybe queer therapist reacts or lesbian therapist reacts. Something like that. Would love to know your thoughts. Currently, my big professional goals are around therapy. So I've been working at a group therapy practice, the same practice I did my practicum in. I am taking trainings. I'm really dedicating myself right now to learning and practicing and being the best therapist I can be. The next chapter in that goal is opening my own private practice, because right now I'm working for a group practice. And so part of my thinking is that once I move into private practice, that might be the time that I think about bringing sleeping around back, because I will want to be more my identity as a therapist forward in the content that I'm making. And creating sleeping around was incredibly time consuming. And so with working as a therapist, seeing clients, and creating the YouTube content that I'm creating now, and doing Chosen Family every week, I cannot add sleeping around. So something would have to go. So my thinking is basically that when I get to a point where I want to start replacing some of my current content with sleeping around, then that's when I would bring that podcast back. But in the meantime, if you want to listen to Chosen Family, if you're looking for more of me, that's still a really fun place to be. Somebody also asked, how do you market yourself, like as a new therapist? I'm still too new to have experience with marketing myself. Again, ask me in a year, but I envision season 2 of Sleeping Around to be a part of that marketing. Okay, I think I have to end this. There's so many more questions, but I think I have to end this. There's a lot of questions about climbing, about my sourdough, about my hair care routine, like a lot of like hobbies, life specifics questions that I haven't gotten to. That's the kind of stuff that is gonna live on Instagram, that does and will live on Instagram. So if you don't follow me over there, go and give that a follow. My plan for 2026 with Instagram is to do more life things over there. And another huge thank you to Free Cash for sponsoring this video. Remember, by scanning the QR code or going to the link in my description and signing up, you could get a $5 sign up bonus when you start your first offer and make some extra cash on the side by playing games and completing surveys. So I think that's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. As always, what a wild ride. I hope that your 2026 is off to a great start, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Tamales. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I apologize. My Spanish accent, really not good. Working on it.